In the German city of Oberhausen, dozens waited in line at a mobile testing centre to be screened. Workers from the fire department and Red Cross taking samples from drivers in their vehicles.
Even though the statewide stay-at-home order went into effect at midnight, there were plenty of people out this morning waiting to go into the Costco in Commerce. Several shoppers told us they didn't have a choice. They needed to get some basic items for their homes.
We need to go out because we have kids, so we have to do it for them.
I went shopping yesterday on Century, and I got tissue and water, but that was it. They didn't have hardly anything over there.
Shoppers were trying to stay farther apart from each other, keeping carts between them while they waited to get in. And employees were only letting a certain number of people in the store at a time so it wouldn't get too crowded. Still, it wasn't easy to keep a 6-foot distance at all times.
I was in and out, but the place is so big, you have to go all around and try to find things, and you have to ask somebody, where's this, where's that?
It's a lovely day outside. You'd imagine that the bar would have been packed.
David Clark can't believe what's happening. He's worried his whole livelihood is about to disappear.
It's surreal. We're going to have to wrap up the bar for the foreseeable future.
So all the taps are empty right now?
Nothing.
As millions face unemployment, tonight's stories from some of the first to be hit hard. Those in the service industry, where more than 7 million workers are facing lost wages, unemployment, even bankruptcy.
COVID-19 is an economic tsunami.
From hotel workers.
I'm a single mom of 3. I really don't know what I'm gonna use to put food on the table.
To restaurant servers.
I was laid off just recently.
To small business owners.
Last time for a while.
The owners of this luxury cruise ship describe it as a home away from home. And for those on board, there is now no choice. About 3,700 people on the Diamond Princess are being quarantined for at least 2 weeks off Japan's Yokohama port. That's after more than 60 tested positive for coronavirus.
We are all instructed to stay in our own cabins. I do know that people from the interior cabins have been allowed upstairs on deck, and they may have had a chance to interact, although they've been instructed to stay a meter apart from each other. So it's hard to read the mood of the other passengers without the contact with them. I see, some people are very worried on the internet and social media.
Japan is already dealing with cases of the virus and has imposed new border controls to stop it from spreading. It's turned away another cruise ship from Taiwan. The World Health Organization says there is no need for alarm.
There's over 3,700 people and crew, and this is after extensive searching for cases and testing of many, many people. So if I don't get my maths wrong, that's less than 2% of people. So it's still it's not a great number. It does show the virus has spread on the ship. But again, let's be careful here not to overreact.
Today, Londoners have woken up to a very different city with up to 40 tube stations closed and bus and train services cut. As coronavirus takes hold here more quickly than anywhere else in the UK, the Mayor Sadiq Khan has called for people to stop using the transport network unless it is essential. Now ministers and officials are considering plans to go further. They could restrict use of public transport for everyone except key workers and close most shops here to curb the spread of the virus. Experts are worried that intensive care units in London could become overwhelmed within 2 to 3 weeks. One hospital in the south of the city has nearly reached capacity in its ICU already.
Vehicles. A sign directed people not to leave their cars or open their windows while waiting. Concern is growing in Germany after a warning if people don't heed social distancing measures, 10 million people could be infected with coronavirus within months. And German Chancellor Angela Merkel responded to those fears in an address to the nation, telling people to listen and act.
Es ist ernst. Nehmen Sie es auch
It is serious. Take it seriously. Not since German reunification, no, not since World War II, has there been such a challenge to our country that so much relies on our universal solidarity.
bei der so sehr auf unser gemeinsames solidarisches Handeln ankommt.
In a sign of the economic impact the virus is having across Europe, the Spanish government announced all hotels will have to close down by Tuesday. The Foreign Office is telling British travellers to contact their airlines and tour operators urgently to try and get home.
Finally, Jet2 have got a flight tomorrow, and we've got on that for €300 between us, and we're flying back home. It's been a nightmare here. 7 days standing on the balcony, sitting on the balcony and going to the supermarket, which was just behind me over the road. Police patrolling the streets to take you off the streets if they see you, other than food shopping or going to a chemist.
In France, which introduced restrictions on movements yesterday, the army started transferring critically ill patients to a military facility to ease the pressure on crowded hospitals in the worst affected east of the country. Doctors have warned the system is at breaking point, with a shortage of equipment and many health workers themselves becoming ill.
Today I am making available an initial £330 billion of guarantees, equivalent to 15% of our GDP. That means any business who needs access to cash to pay their rent, their salaries, suppliers, or purchase stock will be able to access a government-backed loan or credit on attractive terms. And if demand is greater than the initial £330 billion I'm making available today, I will go further and provide as much capacity as required. I said whatever it takes, and I meant it. That support will be delivered through two main schemes. To support liquidity amongst larger firms, I have today agreed a new lending facility with the Governor of the Bank of England to provide low-cost, easily accessible commercial paper. To support lending to small and medium-sized businesses, I'm extending the new business interruption loan scheme I announced at budget last week, so that rather than loans of £1.2 million, it will now provide loans of up to £5 million with no interest due for the first 6 months. Both of these schemes will be up and running by the start of next week.
This is the front line in Italy's battle against the coronavirus, a battle doctors say they're losing.
When you arrive at this point, you realize that you are not enough.
What you're seeing here isn't even the ICU. That's already full. This is the emergency room, flooded with new arrivals, all gasping for breath. Doctors cover patients' heads with the precious few plastic ventilators they have. But make no mistake, this is one of Europe's most advanced hospitals, and it's on its knees. Just outside its doors, and the Italian military moves in under the cover of darkness. Their first job, to find a place to bury the dead after Bergamo's cemetery near Milan was overwhelmed. In a rare late-night address, Pope Francis asked the faithful around the world to pray for Italy. Prayers which can't be answered soon.
President Trump has been accused of trying to lure a German pharmaceutical company working on a coronavirus vaccine to the US. A German newspaper says that Trump offered large amounts of money to secure CureVac's vaccine exclusively for the US.
Contagion is spreading quickly across Europe and the world, and that means anxiety as much as the COVID-19 virus itself. Staff at the world's most famous museum, the Louvre in Paris, shut it down for 3 days this week, demanding better protection against the virus. Tourists weren't amused.
There isn't a place in the world that it's not going to get to, and you can't just shut down the world.
You can, though, shut down parts of it. Battling Europe's most prolific outbreak so far, Italy will close all schools and universities until mid-March in an effort to stem the tide of infections and a rising death toll. Japan did the same last week, and France has also ordered the closure of some schools, affecting an estimated 35,000 pupils. As dramatic for some, Italy's decision to hold all sporting fixtures in empty stadiums. Spain has done so too. Life across the globe is changing fast. The World Health Organization continues to stress the importance of containment in places with few infections in the hope of delaying the spread of the disease and to give health systems time to prepare. There is no doubt that things will get worse. And if the WHO isn't yet prepared to declare a pandemic, Germany, it appears, is.
Liebe Kolleginnen und Kollegen,
the coronavirus outbreak, said the health minister, has become a global pandemic. Amid a worldwide shortage of goggles, masks and gloves, Germany has banned the export of medical protective gear. They want it all to be available for use at home. And other shortages have provoked concern, this time in Australia, over toilet paper. Some countries are taking matters steadily further. India has extended the screening of passengers to all those arriving on international flights. The authorities in Saudi Arabia have banned citizens and foreigners from making the Umrah pilgrimage to Mecca. In Israel, Prime Minister Netanyahu suggested the common handshake be replaced by the Indian greeting Namaste, while Italians have been asked to stop kissing and hugging. With the COVID-19 virus reaching more and more countries each day, it is possible that no corner of the world will be spared. Even as European health ministers prepare to meet on Friday, one infection was registered inside the European Council building itself. Not just towns and cities now, but the seats of governments and parliaments are in its path.